Okay, it should be gone. All right. So this is Washington Plada. He's a composer, also a guitarist, I think, from Uruguay. And he's joining us for an interview today. So thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So I think to kick off with, how many people have you met so far in Oregon who know where Uruguay is?
Very few, to be honest.
Yeah.
And well, that's been a constant throughout the states. I think it's such a small country that it makes sense that not a lot of people know it. It's only like 3.5 million people, so what are the chances that you meet somebody from Uruguay in the States? Small.
Yeah, pretty tiny.
Although a lot of people know us because of soccer, so soccer fans tend to like know where it is and like who are the famous soccer players from there. And lately, a few years ago, the country was in the news too because of the progressive president, and this was like maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago when this president that was very progressive passed a lot of laws like they legalized weed, they legalized abortion and gay marriage the same day. So that was kind of like a big deal. And
yeah.
But yeah, it's always interesting when somebody asks me where I'm from and to like let them know and kind of spread my my heritage a little bit.
Yeah. So what was it like? I guess what's the musical education like in the country? Like, how did you start with music?
It's not as widespread as it is in the States. I find it fascinating that here kids have like since a very young age they are like for the most part like they're introduced to music through elementary school. I didn't have any classes in elementary school, any music classes. So I had something in it was, what is it, like last year of middle school. We had only one class that was all we had in like through middle school and high school. That was called as a music class that taught us about like some composers, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like no real like music playing or we
gotcha.
didn't see an instrument or anything like that.
Yeah, so, it's music appreciation kind of thing.
Yeah, the music appreciation. And then I just some of my friends played and I picked up a guitar, and that's how I started rock and roll. Had my own like cover band, and then grunge. My own grunge. We wrote our own songs.
Oh,
and
cool.
So I play bass for that band. I started with guitar, and I would call myself more a guitar player, but I always end up playing bass because now I want to do it. We always like need a bass player, and it's like, okay, I'll do it. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. What's the music scene like there? I mean, if you're doing like rock band, grunge band kind of stuff.
There's a lot. In that aspect, there's a lot. Like, there's always a guitar like laying around in like every house that you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of people play like without like I would say like 99% of the people, but everybody plays, like some more, some less, but like there's always a guitar there. And everywhere you go to a party, you go to wherever with your friends, and there's somebody that plays. And music is it's a very important part of our culture. And I was always interested in like in classical music. I would go to like every concert I could, even though like I lived in a very small city,
Mhm.
around like 30,000 people. So we didn't have many chances, but I took all the chances I could. And but I like the chance to study any music, like any more formal education. And um, when I was older, after high school, and I went to a different city just for the days just to take classes in violin.
Hmm.
So I took violin classes for like over a year, and then I came to a state, so I couldn't continue.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
easier for me to continue my education here and start like, from the ground up, going to
yeah.
community college, getting my all the music theory and all that stuff. So that's how.
Okay. So what brought you to the States in the first place? Was it for music education, or were there other reasons behind
No, no, no.
you coming?
It was love.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, I was traveling in Argentina. Um, I was just doing some backpacking, and I met some girl, and like we kind of hit it off, fell in love, and like spent some time there, like traveling to here.
Mhm.
And well, after she was from here,
Mhm.
so after a while, we were like, well, like this internet thing is not working. We are doing together.
Okay.
And I
Gotcha.
decided to come to the States. And
All right. And that was to Oregon?
no, it was
No,
to California. It was in Santa
California.
Cruz, a
Okay.
small, I don't know if you heard, it's a small town, like
Hmm.
is south from San Francisco.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, it's a beautiful beach town, beautiful.
Yeah. How long ago was that? Like, how
That
old
was
were you?
11 years ago,
Okay.
2009.
Okay. Gotcha. And then you stayed in Santa Cruz for a while, and you were just kind of hanging
Yeah,
around
I
and
stayed
working.
there. I lived there, primarily there, and then I lived a couple of years in the Bay Area, San Francisco.
Hmm.
In 2017, I moved to Oregon. I I came to Western Oregon University move, to finish my bachelor's degree, and now at the moment I'm living in Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I just finished my first year of the master program in composition here at University of Oregon.
Okay. Cool. So, where did you go before Western Oregon University? You're studying down in California at the time,
Yeah,
or?
I studied there in Santa Cruz. I did a community college that's called Cabrillo
Hmm.
Community College. So
Okay.
I did my first 2 years there,
Okay.
and then
And
I transferred to Western Oregon, and I finished the remainder 2 years to get my bachelor's there.
yeah, and that was for music as well.
Yeah, that was for music composition, and yeah, it was a cool program. We got introduced not only to classical composition, but also to film music and jazz
Mm.
arranging. So it's
Yeah.
a very varied program. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Who is your teacher there in California?
In
Or
California, I
your
have many teachers.
yeah.
What happens is when you go to a community college in California for the first few years, even if you go, you don't have private lessons.
Mm.
So I didn't have any composition lesson until I came to Oregon. So the
Okay.
first 2 years mainly was music theory and like skills and music history, and yeah, nothing about composition.
Okay. Was it kind of strange, I guess, making the musical shift? I mean, because if you're playing in like garage bands and pickup rock and roll bands and kind of things like that, I imagine most of that's by ear. And then going to something where it's all notated and then having to think maybe more abstractly rather than more orally. Was that kind of a difficult shift for you, or did you just kind of sink into it?
It wasn't difficult. It was different. It was very different. But I think the training that I got from playing in rock bands actually helped a lot because I think it's a really good complement to what you see. So mixing the oral tradition with like, or like the listening tradition with the visual, I think it's more powerful. And in my case, it kind of like complemented each other. I didn't see like, oh wow, there are two separate things that they don't really like connect. I think they connect really well. And even though like there's at least at the level that I was there studying, there was no room for like playing by ear. It still helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything when I started. So what can you imagine? A little over a first year of violin, like I knew the direction of the notes and not much more. And an
Yeah.
interesting thing was that the little bit I studied in Spanish. So I had to learn all the names for the note durations for everything. I think that was the most difficult
That was the
part.
hardest part, the language
Yeah,
part.
the
Yeah.
language. Yeah, it's a new language, and yeah, but I cut it up very fast, and yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, when you're studying something that you love, I think even if it's a little bit complex, you are excited to do it. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah, it was a good challenge.
Cool. And then you came up to Western Oregon University and you started studying. I'm sorry, I forget the professor's name that I met
I
of
started with
yours.
mainly with Kevin Wolsick.
Walsick. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very well-known name in the band world.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the top composers for the band world today in the U.S.
Okay. Um, what drew you up to West Oregon University? Was it him or another connection, maybe?
Yeah, I before I started, I came to visit, talk to him. I really liked the program because first it was a small school, and um, honestly, coming from a community college, I was a little bit afraid to land in a big school and fall through the cracks and not
Mm.
find my. I was kind of used to like a community college, like where you have small community, everybody knows each other, professors know you, you know the students. It's kind of like it was an environment that I felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
And this school, and I thought that that would provide me that. That was one of the reasons, but the other one was I'm very interested in different aspects of music. So, and this school provided me, like I said before, like with the classical instruction, plus the film, plus jazz arranging, and then they have like Latin ensembles to
Mm.
play.
Okay.
It like fulfilled a lot of my interests. So I thought it was a like I visited other schools and they didn't like really like caught my attention like this one did. And
Sure.
today I can say that it was a very I made the right decision because I'm really happy about the education I got and all the things that were offered to me there.
Yeah, it sounds like it was all kind of right up your alley.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. I learned a lot. I met like um, a bunch of like really cool and dedicated and amazing professors, and also students that we touch today. And like, I know that I'm gonna have some players for life if I need if I need some players to collaborate this, and that's great.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of compositions did you start writing at West Oregon University? Like, how did you begin with your private lessons?
Um, so the first thing I brought to a lesson was compositions that I've done on my own with guitar,
Hmm.
and but they weren't notated. I had some software in my computer, and I would like plug my guitar and start playing and get some rhythm like going,
Yeah.
and then come and do the lead or some melody with another guitar. Um, so that's what I did was to I transcribed that
Hmm.
to the annotation software, and what I did was instead of the lead guitar or with the melody, I decided instead, and with the help of the professor, I kind of reworked it from there, like
Yeah.
more from an like academic, classical standpoint. So my first composition was this short piece for guitar and flute.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, um,
And were these still kind of? I'm trying to figure out how to segue into this because I know, like, I asked for a commission from you while
mhm.
you were still at West Oregon University, and you wrote some cello and piano pieces that were based on kind of Uruguayan, I guess, traditional musics, uh, like tangos and milongas and things like that. Um, were your first compositions, were they sort of slanting in that direction already? Were they are just sort of naturally coming from that source?
Yeah, so a big inspiration of my music is it's my idea with composing is to fuse traditional like Western music, that what we call classical music, with world music, the
Mm,
music from different parts of the world.
yeah.
And one of the music that I know the most is the music from my own country, and the most popular music there, is tango, that we share with also with Argentina,
Hmm.
milongas and candombe.
Mm,
Candombe is the only one that is only from Uruguay. Um, so a lot of my inspiration, like even unconsciously sometimes, like it just slips in my music because this is my musical heritage. So it's
right.
hard to, you know, like that, that music doesn't get involved when I'm writing. But I also do like the composition that you commissioned for me, that because the theme was Latin American music, the
Mhm.
concert that
Yeah,
you were
that's true.
putting on, I drew more influences using some of the rhythms and from those styles that I just mentioned, and using like either a rhythm or some kind of aspect, and building upon those, or as a
Gotcha.
source of inspiration for each of the pieces.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of what I want to do with my music. It's um, so all the music, it kind of like has some kind of like world music association, even if it's from the music. or from the feelings or from the thoughts, or they all bring some kind of mundane aspect, if you can say that.
Sure, that makes sense. I'm kind of curious because I know that my piano partner and I, Diane, had a little bit, it took a little while to kind of click into, especially the candombe rhythms. I'm curious if you have found it difficult translating some of the stuff that happens naturally by ear. Sometimes there's a lot of details that get lost when you try to write it down. So I'm curious how you approach that problem, especially because like if you try to hypernotate everything, like some of Bartok's pieces, he like tried to get every little nuance in there and it just looks kind of crazy. So I'm curious how you approach that issue.
Well, this is very it's a very new process for me to kind of like translate things from one culture to the other one and mixing cultures.
Yeah.
So I've learned a couple of things through the process, and even like working with your piece and with a previous piece that I also drew something from candombe. Candombe, it's a music that it's an Afro Uruguayan. So started with as a dance and a music that was played with these three distinct drums. So they can be very complex rhythms that interlock with when the three drums are played. So if you play one drum by itself, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you put the three together, the rhythms are complementing each other. They are not playing all together. They're leaving some. For example, the Chico doesn't play the first beat, so the down beat. So it's like ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.
Oh, I gotcha.
So if you play by itself, it doesn't make sense. But if you play with the other one, for example, the bigger down, that plays the down with the boom, boom, ta-da, boom, ta-da. And if you do, when you play them together, it does boom, ta-da, ta-da, boom, ta-da, boom, ta-da. And when I tried to translate some of those rhythms to like different instruments like piano, and it can be really complicated to play.
Yeah.
Because as like Westerns, we beat, for example, and that's something that is very strong in the Western culture. And if you're not that familiar with that, so you tend to kind of like always want to give like a nod to the downbeat. So for example, if I give you the Chico drum that doesn't have the downbeat, I had experiences before when I wrote some music, kind of candombe using that rhythm, that people tend to grab the first note and give it to the downbeat. So it can be, so the ensemble can be a little bit not on the same page.
Yeah.
So I've learned that things are very difficult to translate literally, or there are ways to get the same effect, but kind of avoid the confusing notation or the confusing rhythm. So it's a very fascinating experience how you sometimes you have to rework things. Of course, you don't think about this until it happens, right? Because it's like, well, and then you realize that it's much more. It's not notation. It's not. You can have the best player, the best playing that, and it's not that they cannot play. They can, but there's much more to it. No, there's the feeling. There's the knowledge behind it. There's the culture. That all that makes the music. It's not just notes on the stuff and a good player. There's much more than like that you need sometimes to express what you really want to tell through the music. And I think people that are trained in different traditions might like, it might not come naturally for them. So I think you for example, you're a composer too, so us as a composer, we have to like be that bridge between what you want to say and who's gonna say it, and make that link, make it as smooth as you can, so the performer can catch without a lot of information or detail, without writing an essay about what you want them to play. And
Right.
I think that's when we do a good show, is when the players can play what you have in your mind without like have to have a meeting for 2 hours telling them what you want.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Um, so kind of taking a little bit of a sidetrack, you also have some compositions that you sent to me that are sort of like meditation centric, sort of relaxation musics. And you said you've written them with like yoga or um, like massage or just kind of different things along those lines. And it looks like you have those tracks up on Spotify.
Yeah.
Um, so what kind of drew you in that direction? And when did that happen? Like, was this while you were at school, before you're in school for anything?
This is a very, at least to me, it's a very interesting story. So that's how my, in a way, my music or my approach more, how can I say this? My approach to music started more, have like more predominant like time in my life.
Mm.
So I was a professional cyclist
Mm.
back in Uruguay, and when I was 18 years old, I had like an accident where I broke a couple vertebrae on my body,
Mm.
and I had difficult to walk, and I had like a 2 year long like recovery with like doctors, chiropractors, a lot of stuff. Before that, I had a contract to come and race for a professional team in Kansas in the U.S.
Mm.
And I went through that. Of course, the contract because I just couldn't come when they wanted me to come. Um, so I couldn't do much during those 2 years. We're a little bit like me in bed, me walking a little bit in the house. So this was mainly when I needed to do something else than cycling, and I couldn't do much with my life. So that's kind of when I found music. I found that like playing a lot of music for myself um, was a little bit of a relief for my life, kind of like a little bit mentally, like just to put my energy in something else. And at the same time, I started like I grabbed the guitar for the first time, and that's what my first approach to music. I was like, music made me feel better, made me kind of give me a purpose, and
Yeah.
at the same time, when I was either listening or like practicing the guitar, like laying down in bed or sitting down, like my pain will go away. Maybe it wasn't really away, but my mind wasn't focusing on that.
Right.
So that was the first time I realized the power of music and how like music can be like more than entertainment. It could like take your pain away, either like um, really physically or just distracting your mind. So but I didn't have any knowledge more than my own experience. So like that led me to like start playing the guitar, and then all the rock bands and whatever I told you, like playing festivals and stuff like that. But I always been interested in how like music can affect your your mind, your body. And so when I came to the States, when I was living in San Francisco, I found this kind of like more alternative university that taught a year-long certificate that was called sound, voice, and music healing. It was like a 1 year certificate, and through CIIS is a university in San Francisco. And there, the education that we got, it went from very new age, all like woo woo, to like scientific and everything in between, you know. So we got like new age people, we got monks, we got like scientists, we got like all kind of like musicians. So we were exposed to many different modalities and different approaches, which was great, you know, because like you pick or there like or go deeper in the one that you really liked or wanted. So during the time I was having a lot of like problems sleeping, and I was like, and we had to get a final project going to graduate from the class, from the certificate. My idea was I wanted to do something with music that I could play or something. So I started to compose music, try to help me sleep. So I would go to the computer, write music, and then at night go and try with myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is distracting. I don't like that. Okay, those bells there, like they're too loud. Okay, I go the next day, I adjust it, remove instrument, put another instrument, and I came up with a set of 7 songs that I presented as a CD there, not with intention of anything else, just that was something for me to help me. And then so well that I was like, well, why not like sharing it with the world? So I decided to press like 100 CDs, and it turned out that a lot of people liked it, and they went from yoga studios on the East Coast in Buenos Aires, for example, to like yoga teachers and practitioners and massage therapists, and like all the time I put in did some promotion, put it on CD Baby, and people would write me emails from different like parts of the world saying, hey, like I like what you're doing. So yeah, that's always been a big part of like but my big interest in music. So it kind of goes parallel with my more academic music composing. It's I haven't done anything yet applying all my new knowledge or my academic knowledge. So those songs are pre-education.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that it's not good, because it's a different approach. So I'm not gonna write a piano like sonata like that has 1,000 notes like in 1 second, because that's not what it's about. This is more about, it's an experience, and I did it like trying it on myself, like with the goal of like relaxation, and I'm very interested. Right now I'm researching. I want to write an article. It's not more than an article. It's a paper. How music can be used for to help with stress and anxiety.
Yeah, kind of a music therapy sort of thing.
Yeah, I kind of I really like, I'm an avid meditator. I've been meditating for many years, and I want to put like, I want to back all that up with science and experiments. I found a lot of like experiments done um, by universities and on how like music can help like um, with post-operatory like pain with for many different reasons. So I kind of want to tie that a little bit, like everything I do, and bring some research behind it. Maybe I'm thinking that might become a book in the future, and also bring my composition expertise, and maybe with all the science behind it, maybe bring my composition expertise and to guide other people that want to make music with that purpose.
I see.
So
Yeah.
kind of tying it all together.
Okay.
That's kind of like still like kind of an idea that it's going strong, the idea. So I don't know what that might happen, but I'm in the research phase right now.
Yeah. A work in progress.
Collecting papers, reading, and yeah, starting from.
Nice. So currently, though, you're at University of Oregon.
Yeah.
And for your master's program. And are you studying with David Crum?
I am, yeah. I'm studying with David Crum and also with Robert Keir.
Okay, both.
Yeah, with both. Yeah, so when you start this program, you have to have a year with each.
Okay.
And then at the end of your 2 years, you pick one, or kind of like it defaults to the professor that has more expertise in the area that you want to develop your thesis or your big project. So
yeah.
Already I had the chance to study with both, and it hasn't been like, it's been fantastic. Like the experience, they are both like great composers and great educators. So they both are like have tremendous experience, great composers. It's been like wonderful.
Yeah. I'm kind of I know that David Crum is George Crum's son. George Crum, the kind of pretty avant-garde composer. And I haven't heard a lot of Robert Keir's music, but you and I met at the Oregon Bach Festival Composer Symposium, and he had, I think, like 1 or 2 samples of his music played there. And he seemed a little bit more, I guess, romantic kind of feeling. What is like, how would you describe the differences between their styles, and has that, like, have you been gravitating more towards one, or are you trying to tie them together?
Actually, their styles are very different. So their approach to composition is it's I would say that it's in some level is very it's the opposite. But none is better than the other, but they're just different, and they are both really good. So what I've noticed from the classes is that Robert Keir focuses a lot on the emotions of the what's the story behind what you want to write, and how you can project all those feelings and emotions to the piece. And maybe that ties a lot to what you're saying about the romanticism in his I think that's what a lot of like romantic music comes from. It's about all these like big like emotions and the experience with Cram is more focused on like the purpose of each note there, and more like how can I describe it? It's more it's not so much about the story. It's more about like, well, that's these notes go to here. It's more
like how it's constructed, I guess.
yeah, I don't want to call it intellectual, but it's more the approach is more about what's the purpose of each note there. How do they tie together? How these relate to it's more about like the music and not so much like bringing the story into.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm fascinated by both worlds and trying to put those together, because I think if I can do that, like that would be amazing for me. I'm not saying that I'm gonna be the best composer. I'm saying that I love both approaches, and they're so like. But the good thing is that they both have very different approaches, but both of their music is it's amazing. So there's no one way of doing things, but I want to get like the best of those worlds and like and like have a purpose behind each note I put in my paper that is deliberately put there for a reason, and that note can bring the best emotional effect that I can bring. So I think that's, if I can convey that, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Well, I saw you posted, I think it was the Delgani String Quartet. Is that right?
Yeah,
you
that's
wrote
right.
something for them. Can you tell us a little bit about that work?
Yes.
Like kind of what brought it about, and yeah.
So through the university, through this program that I'm currently doing, they bring us amazing artists to work with. I really like that. So the Delgani String Quartet started working with us. So we had the possibility to write for them, and we started writing the pieces, and then they came for they worked with us throughout the whole process. So since the inception of the song until the performance, so we wrote kind of like a little bit more than sketch. It was like a advanced sketch, let's say, and then they came and they played it.
Yeah.
We told them about the story of our piece and what we wanted to convey, where everything, all the details, and then they played what we had so far. There was like between 20 and 40 measures for the first time we got here, and they gave us feedback about this doesn't work, or you can do this to translate better your ideas. It was like an amazing experience. They are great people, amazing musicians, and they are like wonderful to work with. It was really cool. So it was a group setting. They came, everybody presented their piece, and it's really nice not only to hear your piece, but to hear like your classmate pieces, because you're learning from that too. Like they are saying they apply to every piece. If it doesn't apply to this one, I'm sure it applies to the next one that you're writing.
Sure.
So then they came a couple more times. One time they came at the 50% of the piece, and they came at the a few weeks before the concert. So we had to have the piece completed, and they went through it to make last minor details, and then we had rehearsal with them. and the piece was performed. All that process was like very eye-opening and like wonderful to work with. As a composer, you don't have all the time like that input, so you are commissioned or you are writing something on your own, and you don't have all the players there. Like the feedback from the cello player, from viola, from the violins, like each giving you like specific tips about how their instrument work, how you can notate it there, how you can make it sound there. That's amazing because it's um, it's bulletproof than your piece, pretty much. You know, it's like at the end of that process, like you have something of really good quality that you know that can be played. You know, it's not something that. Of course, then you have Darren Caliber as your player, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Sure. What's the story? What's the story behind the piece?
This piece is called Nunca Más. It's a Spanish title to translate to Never Again. That phrase was used during the dictatorship in South America. In the 70s until the early 80s, mostly all Latin America went through dictatorship, and they were very sad and scary times. Lots of people disappeared, a lot of torture, a lot of not good things happened, and the militaries were in charge, and everything that they didn't like, it was severely punished. Even with the just for hiding like books that they didn't like at home, you know, they would come and research it. But very sad. And Nunca Más, it started as like saying like never again, we don't want that again. Last year in 2019, a lot of riots and protests against the government were happening in many countries in South America, in Chile, in Colombia, in Bolivia, and there was this collective fear because all that was done with the military that went going to the streets. And again, we were seeing in Chile, many people disappeared. A lot of people got like killed and severely injured, like with because the militaries were like shooting them on streets, just like big protest here. It's very sad. Like it happened in many countries, and there was this collective fear of the 70s again.
Yeah.
And people were really afraid that they were gonna take over the governments, and there's a lot of people that are living right now, and they are in the 60s, that they went through like their mom, their dad, their cousin disappeared, them themselves. Like I had friends, my parents' friends, that were tortured. Some of them disappeared. So that fear is still very strong. So I titled that piece Nunca Más because it was hard for me to see all this happening in my, like, no, it didn't happen in my country, but it happened in other countries, and I have like a very strong connection to it. So what's my way of like participating and saying no, saying nunca más to that from being in the States? I cannot fly there and go to fight because that's not possible for me right now. So my fight is through music, and through music can be heard to a lot of people too. And it's my way of like contributing to this fight. So that's what the piece talks about. And so the piece of the beginning of the piece is very chaotic, and it kind of wants to translate a little bit what's going on the streets. Is this fight? Is this bombs? Is this fighting between people and police? Like trying to survive, yelling and screaming for your rights, and that's what the piece tells about. The middle of the piece, it was it changes completely the mood. It goes to like very quiet and almost like delicate sound that what I wanted to translate there, it was what's going on in the mind and the heart and on some person that is looking there, kind of like aside from all the chaos, but it's looking at everything, how everything gets destroyed, how your family, your friends get beat up, they die, and it's a reflection of like what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
And by the end of the piece, the chaos comes back, and as the guy is like kind of wakes up, it's like, whoa, like I need to like, you know, reality's here around me again. You know, he wakes up from that dream state, let's say, and the piece finishes in this furious, um, um, really fast and loud, and the piece ends like as the quartet playing as loud as they can in their
Yeah.
instrument. Um, just to like, it's kind of an end to like that fight, or but at the same time, it's the fight itself.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah, it's a very strong piece.
yeah. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it is like, but I'm really happy how it turned out,
Yeah. I
and
was very struck by its expressivity when I watched the video
oh,
of it.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, people seem to like it a lot, and I'm very happy with it. Like, um, it was not an easy piece. It was challenging, and the performers, the Delgani String Quartet, did such an outstanding job. They can play
Yeah.
whatever you throw at them, they get it,
Right.
and they play every single note how it needed to be, and it was like perfect. I couldn't
Nice.
ask for more. Like,
Yeah, they definitely killed it at the performance. It was pretty awesome.
yeah, thanks.
Well, we're coming up at the end of time. Actually, it's always a little surprising how fast these hours can go. So I guess I'll just end with if you were to name a musician or a composer that like you think basically every Uruguayan would know. Like maybe they don't like them, but they just know them. Who do you think that composer or musician would be?
Um, does it have to be from my country or
Nah, I
from?
mean just as a general like, oh yeah, everybody's heard of this person.
Huh. Wow, I didn't see that one coming. That's a good question. It makes me. Hmm. I don't know. It's that easy, but wow. Well, I would say definitely Carlos Gardel.
Gardel, okay, yeah,
Yeah, that as a tango singer, everybody knows him, and that's kind of an icon of the Uruguay, Argentina, South America. It's when you talk about tango, it's hard to not talk about him because in the singing tango, he is uh, he's the best.
yeah,
And even though it's he died like a long time ago, even if you ask to young people, they would know who he is.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
he did Para una cabeza, right?
por una cabeza,
Yeah.
volver.
Okay.
Many more. It's
Yeah.
yeah, well known all over the world. That's not only in Uruguay, but like a lot of people know him. If you name tango, you probably like think about two, and those two are probably Gardel in the singing style, and Piazzolla
Yeah.
in the instrumental tango. Those are kind of like, of course, there are more in the instrumental tango, but not the Piazzolla, but it's probably one of the most
The
well known, I would
yeah.
say. also brings kind of like more classical
Right.
style,
And kind
so
of jazz and stuff.
it's jazz and stuff. So like I think it covers like more ground that the people that play tango, that they are great orchestras that's only like in that style.
Right. Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that's all for today. Thanks for joining us. It's
Yeah,
been a really good talk with you.
yeah. Thank you for inviting me, and this is great. And I love talking about like mostly about like my heritage and my country. It's nice to like be an ambassador,
Yeah.
a little bit like a humble ambassador for my country and my music. And um, thank you. It's a pleasure, and let's see if we can collaborate soon enough.
Yeah, of course.
Soon.
Yeah.
Something to hear. I love. I have to say that I love the collaboration we did together, and that concert like still gonna happen like when the Latin American concert. Are you still thinking about it when all this clears up?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to say. We did most of the program that we wanted to do, so it ended up being like 75%. We had like the Piazzolla, your pieces, Ginastera, and a little bit of Ponce. But we didn't quite have enough time at that. Like this was late December, and we were going to do a couple more pieces, and then COVID hit. And so we had to kind of shelve some things, but we got most of the program we wanted.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you do a next one, maybe I'll come up with something new for that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.